Hello, this is Gene. Uh, Today is a bad day in a lot of ways, but sports-wise, it was very bad for me this weekend, and it ended this morning when I found out that Hag was sacked. Uh, I wanted to listen to a couple people that I respect on the internet about this before I responded to what happened. I did do a video like 3 weeks ago, one of my better videos of the year as far as how much people watch it, and the discussions that we had on this. Um, when I talked about Mark Goldbridge and his channel saying that he was trying to get the sack because of the team that he was putting out there, that somehow in their mind that Ten Hag was looking to get the sack to get the 17 million pounds payoff, which he's going to get now. It might be a little bit less because it's been 3 weeks, so be 16 million maybe or something. So the only person I really listened to for more than 10 or 15 minutes a day was Sam's Peoples of TV, Sam's Peoples TV, United Peoples TV, because he's usually the more rational, logical of all the ones that are on the internet that have any type of following. So many of them are very over the top, just looking for clicks, don't really take any rational, logical look at things, the situation. I like Stephen Housen too from the tactic side as well. And I think he got to the position that Sam came recently, that he thinks that probably the best thing for the club is if Ten Hag leaves. I have a lot of things that I want to talk about. It's very easy to sit there and say these players didn't do enough. Is it the same as that we've noticed the last 3 or 4 times this happened, where players basically didn't play for the manager? I don't think it's that. I don't think that's at all. I think that they played as much as they possibly could for this manager, and maybe his tactics was holding them down. I don't know, but when you get back to the end, at the end of the day, it is a results-based system, and it's sports. And there's no big club in the world that would have continually kept him if we continually had these type of results. No matter how well we play, if you just can't get the wins and don't show actual progress, that at some point he was going to have to go. And I said that in that video. I understand why people felt that way, that he should have been gone after last season because we finished 8th, even though we won the FA Cup, had a great game against City. But I had seen that there had been progress in this team, and I actually believe there's been progress this year as well. We don't play so wide open. Our defense is a lot better. We control the game a lot more. We've had issues with injuries, but that really didn't change the performances that we've had. We dominate every of these games, maybe not as much as City will, or Arsenal will, or maybe Liverpool will, but we controlled and dominate all these games except the first half against Spurs, and we just didn't get the results. And I would assume that a firm like Ineos was going to say at some point, as much as we matched Mac, the manager, we're not seeing the results, and we have to move on from that. And I did see it when he was interviewed yesterday. The way he looked, it wasn't the same look that he normally has after we lose a game like that. I think he knew then. And it's just unfortunate because I wanted him to do well. The issue that I have with all of this is our fan base is just so toxic right now. And I hate using that word because this is a word that came up the last 20 years that's like a feminist thing, that all men are toxic. And we use toxic, and whenever we have these conversations, we just say that, oh, they're just toxic because they think this way, or you're toxic because you don't believe women have whatever. But this, for probably for 18 months, they've been basically trying to get this guy out. And I would just look at it and say, this is a process. We have to do better. And I think most people thought the players that we brought in were good players. We have players here that are also good players. We got rid of what you would call deadwood as much as we could. I mean, Ineos got a lot of people out the door. Obviously, there was issues with Ronaldo and Sancho, and I guess recently with Ahmad, that he's not paying enough. And I could talk about that in another video or say it right now. I didn't think he's been good enough. He didn't do really anything when he came on for 40 minutes yesterday. Maybe had one cross into the box that ended up to a goal, but he didn't actually have the assist on that. He's a decent player, but he's in the same mold of him. Anthony and Sancho, they're not quick enough to play the position that we need him to play. They can hold on to the ball. If he's going to play out wide, he has to do something that he can actually go by people. And every now and then he can do it. They do it well against worse teams. You see that when Anthony will play well against teams in the second division or something. But at this type level, he doesn't have the speed to go by him. And that's why he always has to track back. He can't do it. And Ahmad does the same thing. But he's young, and you think you can do more with him. And maybe we can. I don't think the manager made any. The issue here, when you just look at it right now, if after we equalized, if we went on to win that game, would we be fired today? Or then again, at this point, it's just we have to win every game, and if we're not going to win that game, they're going to make the decision to part ways with them. Okay, that's fair enough. And you can definitely look from a 30 or 40,000 view and look down on Manchester United. This is the same thing that we've been doing for the last 4 managers that we've had. So, but is it the same? Again, I don't really think that these players down tools against them. I think the difference here is that I was thinking about this morning. I was walking. I said, "Can you imagine? Could Fergie actually manage now?" Yeah. I mean, think about the first couple of years that he was at Manchester United, the type of performances that we had, that we didn't finish in the top 4, things like that. He would have never been able to stay, because can you imagine what it would have been? It would have been like all these English people would have been saying, "Can't have a Scottishman be the manager of Manchester United." They'd be all over social media saying shit about him, saying he's not big enough. He doesn't have the idea. He's just a guy from Scotland. They don't understand how important England is, and it'll be. I wouldn't call it. It would have been racist or anything, but it would have been something like that. I mean, the fan base would have been so toxic because he was a Scotland manager, and he would the fact that they would not even respect where he came from, even though he won a European trophy with Aberdeen. Can you imagine him now trying to be with social media and stuff? And the thing is here is, I want to sit there and say that these fan channels have no influence, and I don't think that any of us looks at Mark Goldbridge's channels, United Stand, or even Sam Peoples, and say that, oh my God, the fan base is against Ten Hag, and we have to make the decision right now. I don't think they do it. However, the players do. The players all over see social media. They're on Instagram. The issue I have with the players is this: they're not doing their job, and we wanted to get more of a disciplinarian coach in 3 years ago, and he came in here and did it, and he put down standards. And when people didn't follow those standards, he would either sell them, get rid of them, or they wouldn't play. And that's the Sancho issue, and part of that's also Ronaldo. I don't really understand what happened there, but the issue when Ronaldo went in and talked to Piers Morgan, who was a Arsenal fan, and had this stupid ass commentary about whatever when he was young and Manchester United was this great thing, and when he came in, he looked at it totally different now when he came back 20 years later, and thinking that we hadn't changed. All that is true, but you don't air that out to public. And he's a legend regardless, right? So these players have to ask: are they the type of generation? And this is where this is going to probably go off the track a little bit. I think this generation doesn't really look at themselves in the mirror when they don't do their job. And yeah, that's be the old man on the hill, sitting out in front of his front yard, just barking at the moon. But they don't. They blame everybody about themselves. Now, there's a couple of them that will take criticism on board. They'll do better, and they'll come out and do better. And I'm going to say something, and I didn't think I was going to act to say this, is that I think that Marcus has come back from the shit he played last year. He doesn't have as many goals this year, but to me, he has improved. He has actually showed progression in his game. Now, when he was 20, he had this in his game. And then all of a sudden, because he became a striker and he was making goals, he kind of lost the fact that he was a well-rounded type of player. But what I see now is that he actually has progressed back to that again. And then he is trying to make the other players better on the team. He's actually tracking back and defending. So I know he was playing for Manchester United, maybe not for the manager, but he was clearly playing for Manchester United, and he did everything he could do yesterday, playing out of position, playing on the other side, allowing Garnacho, a youth player, to come in and have all the real good chances to score, which he didn't do. And if these players make their chances, we win that game 3-1, 4-1, and we move on to the next game. And Ten Hag would still have a job. Now, again, when you get to this point, and we've only won one game in the last 8 or 9, and some of those performances have been somewhat lukewarm, but we never got blown out by anybody. I was thinking when that happened yesterday, I said, he's probably going to stay until, if we we'll play Leicester and somehow get past that game. I think we're going to beat Leicester regardless, hopefully. But I think they didn't want to see us getting just blown out at home against Chelsea. And I think they didn't want to see that. So they made the decision after that game, regardless of what happened in that game. I just sat there after the game yesterday and I did a little thing after the game. I said, they're not going to fire him after that. After the VAR and the fact that the players missed 5 decent, quality attempts at goal to score, they're not going to fire him now for that. But they did, but I think they didn't want it. They didn't want him to be booed out of the stadium against Chelsea, let's say, when I thought that would have been a way for him to get himself back, because Chelsea is in the top 4 or 5 now. But I guess they don't have enough confidence from now going forward. And the only issue I really had with Sam Peoples is that he thinks that, I don't know if he really said this per se, but he said it's not the same thing. And if you're Ten Hag and you bring in Ruud van Nistelrooy to come in to be your assistant, you didn't ask for him. You had to know that if something didn't go well with you, that he's going to be replacing you. And now, Mark actually said this the other night. He said that we're bringing the guy in who came in to actually help us with our finishing, and the one area in the game that we're not doing well is finishing, and he gets to stay, and Erik needs to go, and we keep everybody else. And Sam thinks that we're going to have a bounce. Well, we might against Leicester. I don't know. Again, some of these, everybody talks about, well, he had his players that he was a manager with at Ajax, that they were doing everything for him. Well, now, how are those players going to feel now that their manager is gone? How is Martinez going to think? Ante doesn't play, but like Mazarawi used to play with him. Or now on Wednesday, are we going to see Ugarte start against Leicester? I think we will, because it's in the cup. I think he's going to play that anyway, regardless. I think that he would have been playing under Ten Hag or not. A little fuel after walking. So again, I'm upset. Like I said, my entire team's all of them lost this weekend. Everybody lost for me. All close too. Dolphins lost at the end. The Bucks lost at the end. Florida State got beat by their other rivals. Manchester United lost. It's bad, not for me, sport-wise. But again, it's not that important. The thing is that everybody gets on there, and I love sports, right? I follow it. But as I get older, I have to take a back step from it and say that it's not more important. It's sport. And look, I don't feel sorry for Ten Hag. He's going to get another job. He's young. He's going to get a job, and he's going to get that payout. And he won 2 trophies. And hopefully, when he comes back, and I think he will at some point, he'll be looked at fondly. And when we actually play these teams in Europe, he's going to be on some team, probably in Germany, maybe back in Netherlands. And we're going to see him. We're going to see him in these cup competitions or in preseason tours or something. And I do believe that the fans will support him. And the fans were not booing him out of the pitch at West Ham. The match day fans, especially the ones that go on the road and go to the other stadiums, I think they all like Ten Hag. We have to understand where we were. We had Ranić that was telling everybody what the problem was with our team. I think, again, back then, I think Ten Hag probably should have left him on as like the director of football or something they talked. talk about what we need to do. But obviously, I think Ten Hag think he could come in and change it, and he did get rid of a lot of shit. And there were times that we showed progression. I can't say the word, but there is no excuses. Last year, there is. I mean, the injuries was just crazy. This year, even with all the injuries, I think we played okay, not earth-shattering. Um, I just didn't think because of that game that he was going to go. But I could definitely tell after the game that there were. I don't know if he'd already talked to him and said, "Hey, they're going to talk to you after the game." I think he knew then. His eyes are a little different. How he was sitting, I thought things were off. And he's not the greatest orator when it comes to the English language. I'm sure if he said it in his native tongue, it would look a little bit different or sound a little bit different. Um, but it's just when you get like Sam is looking and talking to his chat, and you can just see that the toxic fan base that we actually have. Oh, you were wrong. You should. And it's like, you're happy now. We have to get a new coach. You think that now that Rude's going to come in and we're going to be a better team? There's still holes in this team. As good as Eriksson has played, he is not the future in that position. And I've talked about it the last couple of times when I actually talk about Manchester United, which is not often, but I do. In my mind, the problem in that game or in the team is Bruno. Not because I think he's a poor captain. He is not what we need. Now, again, if Rude comes in and they change everything for his game, and somehow we have a system around it that allows Bruno to play his game, and now he becomes a better player, and we actually start goals, maybe that'll happen. But the problem is, when he was really good for the team, he had Pogba there. As bad as Pogba played at times, but other times he didn't. He was right there with him. He also had Matic. He had other players around him that could do the other things, and then Bruno could do what he wanted to do. We don't really have that now. Casemiro did it for a while, for 1 year. He still runs around like a chicken with his head off. He does. He gets out of position, and it's great that he's running back trying to stop things, but it opens up the middle of that midfield. And we've tried to get away from that. And when Eriksson has the ball on his feet, we are so more compact. We actually pass the ball around people, and then when they actually come out and try to stop us, then we get the nice little over-the-top type of stuff, getting to Delo or getting into Garnacho, and opening up almost one-on-one almost 3 or 4 times a game. But we have to have a player like Eriksson if you're going to play that type of team, type of game, and we just don't have that. That's the problem. And Bruno isn't that, and he's not fast enough to play out wide. So then he can't really defend. So where are you going to put him if he's in a 4-4 or a 4-3-3? I think, and we just gave him money. It's like, I mean, against Fenerbahce, we pretty much dominated or controlled that game, and ended up only getting a draw out of it. And every time that Eriksson has the ball, we do pretty well. Now he can't defend either, so that it's one of those things. Our midfield has issues, but again, maybe out of that 100 minutes that played, I think that West Ham had the ball threatening us maybe 5 to 6 times. They didn't do anything other than the penalty and the scuffed shot that went to the player. And I guess after 3 years, 2.5 years, that this would be the game that actually makes him lose his job. It's like, okay. Now the problem is West Ham sucked, all right? There's a team that probably should be relegated. They're that bad. And I think they have other players that are decent enough, but they looked horrible that first 30 minutes. So I guess that when you get to that point that we don't have the ability to put that type of team underneath the table, that we take them to the sword, and we didn't do it. And at some point you have to blame somebody, and it's going to be the manager has to go. You can't get rid of everybody on the team. But what are these players going to do? Sam believes that there's going to be a balance. All of a sudden now these guys are going to understand how to actually put the ball in the net. Like I said, I think we played okay. we're not like City. We're not like Madrid. We're not like Barcelona. We're not like Liverpool when they're playing well. Arsenal when they're fully stocked. We're not there. But when you have so many real chances, not just half chances. I'm talking about one-on-one with the goalkeeper or one-on-one with the goal, and you don't have the ability to just knock the ball in there, and you're sitting there 20, 30 minutes in, and you're sitting at home and you know what this means. They're going to score late in and we're going to lose because we're not doing this. And I remember years ago, we would do this, we just batter somebody, but eventually we would score. We almost always did. We would just dominate, and now maybe 2 or 3 times that I remember that we got beat because we didn't do it. I think it happened against Portsmouth in the FA Cup. A couple other things that they came back and scored at the end, where we dominated the game and we just couldn't put the ball in the net. But those players had a history of doing it. Even though they started really well, they would eventually, usually right before halftime, we would score and we go on and win 2-3-0, and we move on with that. We don't really have that yet. I mean, this team is not the same that was under All-In when they first started. We had really good players. People think that this team is better than that team that Ollie had. When you look at what we had in the midfield, and is there anybody better? As much as I like Rasmus, and I even like Xerxes, I think there's a player there. We had fucking Lukaku up front, who's a good player. He's not Alan Shearer. He's not Harry Kane. He's not Ronaldo at that position, but he's the tier below that, and he can be a dominant center forwarder, and he has been. We didn't do. I mean, when you think we had around him, we had Herrera. We had the team was better. It was better overall, and we finished second a couple times, and we got 80 points one year. And I think even under Ollie, I think the team was better overall. But this team has the ability to be better. We get younger players in, and we indoctrinate them into the system that we want to do, that will be better overall. The game has changed, even since Mourinho's been our manager. It has changed. The role of like Bruno Fernandes, it would not equate to play at Manchester City. I don't think that him and De Bruyne are the same type of player. I just don't see it. I don't even know what. I mean, when we talk about Xerxes saying he's like a 9.5 as a position guy, what is Bruno? Is he a 6.874? He doesn't really. The fact that he can do something out of nowhere, a great pass, and that's why he stays on the pitch. I think he's got to do better. And I thought he played okay in the first half, but at the end of that game, he can't even make a pass to people that are open. What? And how we played the last 10 minutes of that game, we're like hoofing the ball. I said, dude, okay, everything sucks. But we got 12 minutes of stoppage game, and it became 14 minutes. And we started like it was like 1 second left in the game. We should have continually do something a little bit better. We had issues where we could, use our head that's how we got our first goal. But it's just how we ended that game. Maybe that was the issue. After we went down, that I don't know. I think that they had in the back of their mind regardless. And I think if we didn't have really good results before the new international break, I think he was probably going to go anyway. I'm not shocked it happened. I just didn't think it would be done because of that. Because you think of how that game went, the fact that the players couldn't finish those chances, and then what happened with the VAR, when it should be, I mean, everybody should be talking about that VAR decision, and that should be dominating the news. Manchester United comes out and says, no, let's dominate the news and we'll sack Ten Hag. So all that stuff that would have came out about the VAR today and people complaining about it and stuff, that gets taken over by this. And I don't know if that was part of the issue, because people are starting to not really trust the referees, the VAR and all that stuff. But this obviously trumps it because it's the manager for Manchester United being fired. Because no matter we're finished for what 14th in the league, we'll never will be ignored. Everybody's going to talk about Manchester United. We're going to still be the number one on every search engine, and every other fan is going to come on and just say, "Ha ha ha, you lost your thing." But at the same time, they wanted us to continually sign him for another 50 years because we're so bad, and he's so bad. Well, we're going to get somebody else. I just don't understand how Rude gets a promotion when his real issue in that whole thing was supposed to make sure that we're better at finishing, and we suck. So why does he get a promotion? Again, as we all know, that was the fail-safe already. We're allow you to stay here. We're probably going to fire you, but you won the FA Cup. We're going to allow you to stay here, but we're going to bring Rude in here in case something happens. And I think that he knew this. I think that Rude knew this. That's an interesting way to work with somebody. And they did. They've been professional about it. But now it's Rude's, and it's not going to be Ollie. I mean, I'll be shocked if we go win 8 games in a row. And then everybody's going to say, give him the wheel like we did with Ollie. I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? I still think that we're going to qualify in the Europa League. I think that we're going to be in the top 6 or 8 of this team, of the league. I think we have good enough players. And we'll see if we get other players back, if we ever get Shaw back. All I really want Erik to have is to have his number one team out there and have decent teams, people on the bench to replace him if necessary, for 2 or 3 months, just to see what he would have done with that. He didn't really get that opportunity. He did that early on in his first year. It's just unfortunate he never did. But I'll just remember this, that he got us 2 trophies, and that first game against Liverpool, that he won his first game, and how electric it was, and how we fought Liverpool and we won that game. The game against City at home, we came back from 1-0, scored 2 goals, was 1 point behind them with about half the season gone, winning the League Cup against Newcastle. That was the hope that we were going to the right ways. The second season, whatever, almost not even thought about it, all the injuries that we had, but we won the FA Cup. The issue he had to do is he had to be better. The results just didn't match that. And at the end of the day, you can't continually hold on with a coach later on like this. No big club in the world would have allowed it. No medium-sized club would have allowed it. Manchester United should never be 14th unless it was the first or second game of the season. I don't have a problem with them doing it. It's weird to me because that game we should have won. The players played well. We played well. We didn't start really well in the second half, but we still played well enough to win. And the VAR comes in, and the VAR has hurt us twice this year. But again, Erik will be fine. He has a nice wife. His kids are nice. He's going to get another job, probably in a position where he doesn't have to deal with our fucking fan base. I'm not talking about being in English and being on a Premiership team. Our fan base is disgusting. It just is. There's no excuse for it, how we act. And I get it's part of the social media, and they're part of the generation. It's people a lot younger than me. There's a lot of people online that they get their fame just yelling about Manchester United. When you just see everybody, and I could just go through all the fan channels, and some of them are going to take a congratulatory lap around the field today, saying I was right all along. Well, you were right. While our team is exploding and we're 4th in the league, 14th in the league, you want to pat yourself on the back? I'll put it this way: those fans didn't deserve Ten Hag, and they certainly didn't deserve those 2 trophies that we won. And I'll leave it there. We'll see what happens. I expect they're going to play a little bit better against Leicester. I think that I don't even know. I have to look at how he coached PSV. I don't know how he plays, but maybe he's going to let the players just open up themselves, play 4-4-2 or something. I have no idea. We'll see. I'm going to watch it. They're my team. When players leave, I'm still there reporting for the team. When our coaches leave or get fired or retire, I'm still going to be there supporting my team. But I'm going to call out toxic fan base that we have, and some of them happen to be the biggest channels that are out there, the biggest fan channels in the world out there. That when they start something 3 weeks ago saying that he's trying to get the sack, and now what do you think that Mark's saying today? In the back of his fucking, I'm not going to watch his show, but he's like, yesterday is like, I think it's probably the time. Well, you said that 3 weeks ago because you thought that Ted Hogg wants to get the sack. He's going to take that $16 million and do something with it. So again, he'll be fine, and I just hope eventually in the future, if he comes back or whatever, if we play a team that he coaches or in the future, that of course he's going to be accepted back. He was a servant for the team, and we won 2 trophies with him, and the promise was there. We're going to see what happens. I just don't know who would want to come in and actually coach this team. But I'm going to stop right now. Let me know down below what you think, what your thoughts are. Please subscribe and share this if you want. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.